Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 922 of the daily video grind. And today we have another fan stream from Hasbro, this one focusing more on the Generations line, so a lot more stuff that we as fans are probably interested in, but at the same time, nothing we were going to be surprised by. We pretty much knew going into this one that everything that they would be talking about, everything they would be revealing is stuff that we have already seen, stuff that has already leaked, so we're not going to worry so much about that ourselves. We acknowledge Hasbro as a website and as a brand gets way more views than like TFW 2005 or YouTube channels like this one. So this is definitely aimed at somebody. These are for, the fans who use the official sources, not the ones who are chronically online and are hunting this stuff down all the time. So we do acknowledge that. I'm watching a product that is not made for me, but we do have insight. We do have things that they discussed about the toys themselves, so we will focus a little bit more closely on that. And that's going to start with the Cheetor. And now, of course, this one has already been bought at US retail. But the Cheetor itself is still a decent enough little toy. Nothing really against that. Something that was pointed out to me by this stream. So here's the thing. I did watch Beast Machines for the channel. However, my brain still doesn't want to retain memory of it. So I tend to forget that Cheetor's legs are supposed to be impossibly long. They pointed out the legs should be a lot longer on this toy. Okay, so in my brain, the best Cheetor toy that exists in the Beast Machines design is from Titanium of all toy lines. That shares the proportions with this Cheetor. And those are the proportions I like for this Cheetor. So this is a weird Titanium throwback in a very odd way. We're not going to read into it any farther than that. It's weird. It's weird, but it's factual. Can't change that. So it is what it is, and it's fine. All right. It's just weird to me. Like, no, I didn't even think about the proportions on this guy before then. They also pointed out that, like, well, for starters, they had 3D renders that were like rotating in video, which was a nice little touch. So nice of them to add. Something they pointed out was that Beast Machines designs are really tricky for them to develop because the characters do not transform in the show, which is true. They metamorph, they are transformed or whatever. But that does mean that parts do not move and shift the way they would on a standard transformer, meaning it's far more difficult to get accurate depictions in both modes. You take a look at Night Scream and tell me how those gigantic bat wings are supposed to hide in that robot mode as well as end up on his feet somehow. Not really something you can physically accomplish. We proved that with the original. So I understand that. It does make sense why we don't get that much in Beast Machines, outside of the stray Viacon once in a while. But no, they said they wanted Beast Machines fans to feel welcome in all of the Transformers generational homages and throwbacks. So okay, fair play to them. They get to have a toy in the line too. Maybe should have. I am still looking for that like leader class Tankor, that really big buff Tankor personally, as far as Beast Machines go. But the small steps, we'll take it as it comes. So let's see, what else was it? Okay, we moved on to Shard, who's female. Something you never get from someone who stole a copy out of Asia in order to review it early? The fact that they're female. I am sorry, Shard. I have been misgendering you this entire time. It's very rude of me. So, yeah, just, again, pushing the armorizer thing. And, of course, that is, this is, again, a figure that I very much like and I very much look forward to owning. It was pointed out that the design deco on her and the sculpting in general is inspired by the death crystals from the season 3 episode Chaos, which Okay, that's actually fair. That's actually fair. Kind of cool, kind of cool. They also, here, I'll go back to the robot mode really quick. So, they specifically mentioned by name Solitaire, that this was inspired by the Rock Lord Solitaire. Interesting to drop that name. Interesting to drop that name. It's weird to hear, like, a Rock Lord's name being mentioned on the Transformer fan stream. Legally, completely okay. Just weird. So yeah, back to the Death Crystal thing. So the Death Crystals come from a creature known as Chaos, so I kind of went back and checked the episode, and yeah, those are spot on the colors. Those are spot on the colors. All the different shades of green in there, blending into the yellow. Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of a fan of that. It's a nice little pull. It's a very deep cut. It's a very deep cut, but it's a very appreciated one. I like coming up with these excuses for why they are these colors. Maybe there's more living rocks in Transformers than I gave the series credit for. It's a cool one. It's a cool one. Also, apparently Shard was the first one designed when they came up with the rock aesthetic Armorizer figures. And the part of me that thinks that is hysterical is that I look back to the conversations, the jokes we were making at TFCon Orlando about what ridiculous vehicles they could have for Armorizers. And one of the things was, how about a helicopter? Like, how does a rock helicopter work? Apparently, it was their first thought. Apparently, that was the idea behind it the whole time, which kind of makes me happy. You know, that they're leaning into it like that. So next up was Gears. For Gears, they did actually mention that, yeah, this was in the poster for Kingdom, and never quite materialized, which, you know, fair. I'm glad they actually pointed that out. We're never getting a Polar Claw. We're never getting a modern Polar Claw. But at the very least, yes, they do acknowledge that they're trying to fill in a few gaps and make amends on a few promises. They also admitted that it accidentally got leaked from their own systems. So it's good of them to actually own up to, like, where some of these leaks come from time to time. This one just got out way earlier than they intended. Let's see. Beyond that, they did mention that the engineering is focusing on hiding the tires to match the animation model as much as possible. And it does do a really good job of that. You really can't see them in robot mode. I know 2 of them are buried in the chest, but that's about it. Also, I'm getting more fascinated by how this toy transforms. Like, doing like the 360 turnaround on this one. The chest of the robot mode is on the back side of the truck. I really want to know how it got there. I don't want to look at early reviews. I just want to get this thing in hand and try to fiddle with it and go, oh my god, that's what I want. I want that experience. But beyond that, yeah, they mentioned that, you know, they couldn't fit his grumpy disc into the design, but, you know, they have the hatch open, so you at least have that from the Changing Gears episode. Okay, fair. Chromia. I will admit, seeing Chromia here, like, in motion and showing and being shown off on you know, on the stream, she does look better than she did before. I'm still not entirely sold on her, but it's definitely better than I was expecting. Now, for starters, I'm pointing out the 3D render on this one because, for whatever reason, on the 3D turnarounds, there's some super metallic surfacing going on some of these toys. And they mentioned trying to work metallic finish into this figure. On camera, I could not tell what was supposed to be metallic about this toy. From there, it looks like it's supposed to be the shurikens and the blue on, you know, the blue highlights on her, but I don't really get that from the photos themselves. You can see, looks pretty dull to me. I don't mean dull as in boring. I mean just dull as in, like, I'm not seeing the metallic all that well. Maybe a little bit in the seat? That might be glare. I don't know. They did, see, they did intend that they did mention that it was intended to be Cyberverse Chromia, which, yeah, if you do comparison, like, there are comparison things, like the legs have the wheels, so that makes sense. I really felt like they could have used a little bit more red to push that. You know, I'm not getting red in the lower legs like I really should be off of that design inspiration. It's just a little bit nitpicky of me. A little bit nitpicky of me, but it doesn't quite strike me as Cyberverse Chromia still. Again, it's a decent mold. Might be one of those I give a shot, and if I'm not into it, or if I feel like the old Thrilling 31 I've been hanging on to for 10 years, if that one still hits me right as Chromia, this one will probably see eBay. Or I'll probably just change my mind and cancel it before it comes in. One or the other, because it's a Chromia. I don't expect to have trouble finding it at retail. Alright, enough stalling. We need to get to the real star of the stream. They have officially announced Cybertron Starscream. I want to point out that during the Beast Machine's Cheetor portion of the stream, they gave a shout out to Sixo, who is, you know, a staple of the community, so rightfully shouted out. But because of his Beast Machine's, attention, they shouted him out like, well, this toy is for this is a toy for Sixo. I don't get a mention during Cybertron Starscream. I don't think there's a Transformer YouTuber more obsessed with this design than I am. That said, I'm probably blackballed from Hasbro because I'm the plastic addict guy. So it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me if I'm just like on a no-fly list for Hasbro mentions. But this is still very pretty. This is still very, very pretty. They mentioned that Takara took the lead on this design, which I think is appropriate because I believe at the time they were taking design lead on the toys, because they were being released in Japan first at the time. Could be wrong about that. Don't quote me. Yeah, but it's nice to know. It's one of those little nice things though. Makes it a little bit different, gives it a different vibe. And yeah, they also made the comparison to like, yeah, it's kind of like a Tetrajet. And I'm over here like, yeah, because its design is based on the War Within design, which was kind of Tetrajet. So they did show off a lot of it, as expected. The toy almost fell over. That doesn't count on your bingo card because it didn't hit the platform. They showed off the Cyber Key, which is very small. It is a very small Cyber Key, but it is nice to see that it is included, of course. They've mentioned that Starscream is going to be doing a social media takeover soon, which that'll be fun to watch their Twitters, Facebooks, and Instagrams just go nuts for a day. They also mentioned the best thing about this, the best news we got out of the entire thing. They hinted that they will be doing more Seekers off of this mold. They didn't do that with the Armada Starscream, I don't think, because we're still waiting on Thundercracker. That's still like, I don't know why they haven't reused that mold yet. It's baffling to me. But no, they specifically mentioned, like, to this mold, they specifically mentioned, we just don't really, we never reuse these Starscreams for multiple toys, They absolutely hinted that, yeah, we're getting more out of this mold. Skywarp, I'm begging you. I will dedicate an entire video to why you should be doing Skywarp. I will do a whole video just to campaign for that. I will bug you. I will annoy you, Hasbro. We need to move on. Okay, so we got the new Silverbolt. We've seen a lot of Silverbolt. So they mentioned Hisui-san as one of the designers on this toy. Apparently, this was one of the guy's first Transformers. They mentioned it might have inspired him to be a toy designer. That's a little, it was kind of tongue-in-cheek the way they mentioned it, so I would not quote that. Don't add that to the wiki. No way to confirm that one. You want to talk metallic-looking renders. He looks like the model from the cartoon. This looks like the original Silverbolt model. But no, the toy itself, more flat gray, more in line with the original toy. And, color-wise, he still looks phenomenal. I am still really looking forward to getting my hands on one. please do more Beast Wars, because I'm not seeing any in any of the leaked listings after this. You know, we've still got Transmetal 2s you can do. Transmetal Cheetor, you know, Transmetal 2 Cheetor kind of sucks, but you can make them. Dinobot, can I get a Dinobot that's not super floppy? I'd like that, please. Just do Transmetals. Like, figure out Transmetals and just get back to me. See, where were we after this? Because we kind of we're kind of just going over we're kind of going over like beaten ground at this point. Yeah, this came up. This came up, and this image is great. So let me I'm going to very quickly shrink this down so you can see who did this particular image, because they should be credited. Yep, Carefree Amnesiac took this photo, which I think this is kind of the vibe that a lot of the collectors were at with this. Like, yeah, we've already got them. Thanks for announcing them. I just wanted to throw that in. It's just a funny photo. See, moving on, we need to talk about Sandstorm, because Sandstorm was shown off. Sandstorm, of course, still looks pretty great. Why did my image get completely misaligned there? This is, yeah, it's still looking really, really nice. They mentioned at some point that it was Mark's idea to actually do the rescue cage that also turns into the roll bar, which, admittedly, that's really clever. You know, that's really clever. Good on you. One thing that they did point out, they point out a few things. Number one, all the wheels touch ground in helicopter mode, so you can still roll him really well in the helicopter mode, which I think is really nice. You know, a little bit of design intention. Sorry. And they did mention, yeah, PVC wheels, and pinned wheels, so it rolls really, really well. Okay, so they're keeping that up with the dune buggies. They hinted that there is probably another version of the Sandstorm head in this mold, likely a cartoon accurate one with no mouth plate. And they did mention they are going to try and get that released. So this is the kind of nuggets of information that we as collectors need to glean from these things, rather than just focusing on the fact that, oh, we've seen all the toys already. Because there are interesting stuff. There is interesting little bits of info here. You know, we know we're getting another version of Sandstorm down the line that's probably more cartoon accurate in deco, with the head that some people think is the correct head. And of course, Cybertron Starscream is likely going to be used again for upcoming redecos. I would love that. Of course I would love that. So that's kind of what we get here. Let's see. They did talk a lot about Origins Wheeljack, which I believe was their last release, because this is the Target exclusive. The green in the tinted translucent plastic, I didn't even really think about, but they did mention that in the original episode, that's kind of what the coloring was. And, you know, I had to go back and, yeah, like, even in robot mode, on Cybertron, Wheeljack kind of had a green hue to his windshields. That's actually a nice little attention to detail that sets him apart. Very well done. Also, I had, for some weird reason, when I sat to record this video, the first 4 episodes of More Than Meets the Eye, of the original Transformers cartoon, More Than Meets the Eye, and then, you know, the preceding episode, were all offline for some reason. All 4 videos were hidden. I don't know why. Maybe because they clash with Takara's, like, little special, like, here's some old episodes kind of special thing. Best guess. Had to pull this from a really awful looking AI upscale. You know, some shows you can AI upscale and they look great. G1 ain't one of them. Don't do it. No, it's like, it looks like a kid's scribble. But just back to the point here. So they did bring up a lot of stuff. They're trying to come up with a name for it, because apparently, we know UFO Bumblebee. They described Jazz as a vacuum cleaner, which I thought was funny. So in-house names, I assume. They did mention that fitting Bumblebee inside the vehicle mode was a priority. So that was where they were trying to, that was what they were trying to work around. The track and blast shield is supposed to be a glider in robot mode for Wheeljack. So I didn't see him in Fortnite, but apparently glider. All right. Fair. It's got to be something in robot mode. It's not just like big kibble strapped to him. See, they also kind of pointed out that the blades that are on the front, yes, that's accurate to what he was using in the original cartoon to get through a blockade of Decepticons. But they're also intentionally designed to be similar to the Dominator discs that Wheeljack used in a future episode, which means they also fit onto his gun for that purpose. That's pretty good attention to detail. That's a really clever extra use of that. Cool. But yeah, they were really hyped about this one. Obviously so, because it's a Target exclusive. They need all the help they can get. But it's cool. It's cool to get all this info. I'm happy with all this. So I believe that's all they had for us. Yeah, that's about it. They did make a few mentions, which we'll get to those in a bit. First off, how did we do on our bingo cards? How was your bingo cards? Because guess what? I came within one again, and it's supposed to be in my lineup, but apparently OBS doesn't want to show it. I was one short. If they announced a selects release, I would have gone to bingo this time. All right, so yeah, okay. So OBS isn't going to let me show it because I think cramming a cryptic QR code in the last one confused it, so maybe it doesn't want to show it this time. There are a few other things they mentioned about the next week, however. So they did mention that the next one was going to be focused more on music, media, publishing. So a lot of the media side of Hasbro and Transformers. Fair. There are going to be 5 reveals in the next one. Apparently some of their 5 favorite reveals. We already know they stated that one of them was going to be their favorite toy of the year. And another one they described as radical. So I'm wild guess we might get to see the Ninja Turtle crossover one next week, which would be pretty awesome if nothing drops in the next 7 days. But wild world of leaks, you never know. They also mentioned the WonderCon appearance, which is going to be Studio Series focused, so we're not going to see anything studio. We were likely not going to see much from Studio Series. I would expect next week to include Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime, because if anything's going to be the designer's favorite release, it's going to be that one. So that's my prediction. We'll have to wait till next week to see if it comes true, and then we'll have to wait for WonderCon to get anything major from Studio Series. So we sit and wait for all of that. But until then, thank you once again for sharing, for coming in and wanting to hear my thoughts about everything that got shown off today. Like I said, trying to be calmer about this. Yes, it's frustrating because Hasbro could absolutely show us more. There are some reasons why they don't. I don't buy all of them, but I will take what I get, and I will try to find more out of these than just, ooh, hey, shiny toy. So that's the goal from now on. And it's the goal for the one next week as well, as we wrap up the month of fan streams. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.